वनचारिणी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपदा 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 जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 नमो विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शता भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। अंतर्विपायपुर धाम की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। समावेश भक्त वृंद की जय। गौ प्रेमानंदी all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakammalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavasya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam सगण रघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिशाकांत राधाकांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय। वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम राम हरे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौरवृंद। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So reading from Canto 3, Chapter 12, and today's text number 3. So I will read and you guys may try to repeat it. Drashtva papiyasiം सृष्टिं दृष्ट्वा पापीयसीं सृष्टिं नात्मानं बह्यमन्यत नात्मानं बह्यमन्यत भगवज्ञानपूतेन मनसान्याततो सृजत दृष्ट्वा पापीयसी सृष्टिं नात्मानं भयमन्यत भगवज्ञानपूतेन मनसान्याततो सृजत. You want to try? So we do the word-to-word translation. Drashtva, by seeing, papiyasin, sinful, srishtim, creation, no, did not, atmanam, unto himself, bahu, much pleasure, amanyata, felt, Bhagavat, on the personality of Godhead. Dhyana, meditation, putena, purified by that. Manasa, by such a mentality. Anyam, another. Tataha, thereafter. Asrujata, created. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Seeing such a misleading creation as a sinful task, Brahma did not feel much pleasure in his activity, and therefore he purified himself by meditation on the personality of Godhead. Then he began another term of creation. Purport. Although he created the different influences of nations, Lord Brahma was not satisfied in performing such a thankless task. But he had to do it because most of the conditioned souls wanted it to be so. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, number 15:15, that he is present in everyone's heart and is helping everyone to either remember or forget. The question may be raised, why the Lord, who is all merciful, helps one to remember and another to forget? Actually, his mercy is not exhibited in partiality towards one and enmity towards another. The living entity as part and parcel of Lord is partially independent because he partially possesses all the qualities of Lord. Anyone who has some independence may sometimes misuse it due to ignorance. When the living entity prefers to misuse his independence and glide down towards nations, the all-merciful Lord, first of all, tries to protect him from trap. But when the living entity persists in gliding down to hell, the Lord helps him to forget his real position. The Lord helps the falling living entity glide down to the lowest point, just to give him the chance to see if he is happy by misusing his independence. Almost all the conditioned souls who are rotting in the material world are misusing their independence, and therefore 5 kinds of nations are imposed upon them. As an obedient servitor of Lord, Brahma created all this as a matter of necessity, but he is not happy in doing so, because the devotee of the Lord naturally does not like to see anyone falling down from his real position. Persons who do not care for the path of realization get full facilities from the Lord for executing their proclivities to the fullest extent, and Brahma helps in that procedure without fail. So we read translation again. Seeing such a misleading creation as a sinful task, Brahma did not feel much pleasure in his activity, and therefore he purified himself by meditation on personality of Godhead. Thus he began another term of creation. So this is very interesting point. And I was going through Bhagavad Gita and I found one verse which really helps in understanding Krishna's position and living entity's position at the same time. In 18th chapter, verse number 61 says that Ishvara sarvabhutanam ruddesh arjun tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of material energy. Arjuna was not the supreme knower, and his decision to fight or not to fight was confined to his limited discretion. Lord Krishna instructed that the individual is not all in all. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, or He Himself, Krishna, as a localized super soul, sits in the heart, directing the living being after changing bodies. The living entity forgets his past deeds, but the super soul, as a knower of the past, present, and future, remains the witness of all his activities. Therefore, all the activities of the living entities are directed by the super soul. The living entity gets what he deserves and is carried by the material body, which is created in the material energy under the direction of super soul. As soon as a living entity is placed in a particular type of body, he has to work under the spell of that bodily situation. A person seated in a high-speed motor car goes faster than one seated in the slower car. Though the living entities, the drivers may be same, similarly by the order of Supreme Soul, material nature fashions a particular type of body to a particular type of living entity, so that he may work according to his past desires. The living entity is not independent. One should not think himself independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The individual is always under the Lord's control. Therefore, one's duty is to surrender, and that is injunction of the next verse. So Prabhupada is covering the point in here, which is very interesting, that like parents, they have a child and the child wants to go to Disney World. So they say, okay, let's go to Disney World. And then at the end of the day, when the child is really tired and says, Mom, let's go home, that time they say, see, we told you, there is nothing in this place for you. You will be better off home. You have your friends, your books, neighborhood, everything familiar. This is all foreign, strange. So this is how Krishna works. That there is an independence, of course, but some people may go for it and some may not go for that. So these are the two things, and that's why I was just reading inside the Pujari room before I came here, that Rupa Goswami was instructing through a verse he wrote, that don't waste your time in going to club and trying to enjoy the smoking and gambling and killing animals and eating meat and try to enjoy material life. He says, this part he's mentioning is to look at Krishna, who is having a peacock feather over his head, holding a flute, and is standing at the Keshi Ghat, and it's such a wonderful moon-like attractive features that once you see that, then you don't enjoy this material world at all. You'll be always attached to Lord Shri Krishna. So that's what Rupa Goswami was instructing through his one verse that he wrote. So we are actually beginning this particular chapter. And that is why it's very important, I thought, to understand it very systematically, so that we can understand the rest of the chapters very easily. So what I did, that although yesterday only we entered into this particular chapter, but then that chapter I tried to put it in this fashion. Can you see that? This is a graphic presentation of that particular chapter. If you just read this verse or word-to-word translation and a purport, this may help much better. It's like looking at the X-ray, right? So the thing is, these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These 5 things are mentioned in verse number 2. First one doesn't have any purport or anything, but the second verse picks up the subject itself. And it starts with Andha Tamisra. Andha Tamisra. What is Andha? If somebody calls you Andha, means you are blind. Tamisra is, there is no light at all. So you are blind and there is no any kind of light around you. It's a total darkness. And that is known as avidya. You know, there is nothing. You cannot go down anymore. Like here is a gliding down word is used. But there is no any other level. Andha Tamisra is the final level of ignorance. So why it happens? So I wrote Tattvamasi. What is a Tattvamasi? So we are dealing with Lord Brahma. And 4 Vedas came out of his mouth. Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda. Now, even my name is Trivedi. I have never even seen Vedas, how they look like. Right? They call me Vedis, Trivedis. So these are the very complicated books. And I doubt that in Kali Yuga anybody has a chance to read those things. But still, one can ask, what is the bottom line? What does the Rigveda says? What does this Yajurveda say? Samaveda say? Atharvaveda say? So the bottom line is always available. What they have to say is always available in the scripture. Number 1, he says, Tattvam Asi. Tvam Tat Asi. Tvam means we are pointing at Lord Sri Krishna and say, you are that. Nothing else. When we start neti, not this, not this, not this, not this, what is left is Krishna. So ultimately the Vedas, first one is pronounced in Tattvamasi, Tvam Tat Asi, right? And then second one says, Aham Brahmasmi. You are Brahman, Krishna. But we are all part and parcel of you. So we have a little bit of Krishna in all of us. For example, his dear wife, her name is Lakshmi. So I remember there were times, I don't come to the temple anymore, but they used to announce 30 Lakshmi point, 300 Lakshmi points. You know, the people will go out and sell Bhagavad Gita. And then more the Lakshmi is there, devotees get more excited for the success. Why? Because Lakshmi points are increasing. Krishna likes Lakshmi, so everyone likes Lakshmi. Now, of course, this Lakshmi we are talking about is in terms of pound, shilling and pence, the dollar, dime, nickel, pennies. But that is a bhautik or a material form of Lakshmi. Otherwise, Lakshmi Kshir Samudra Raj Tanayam Sri Rangadhameshwari Dasi Bhoot Samast Dev Vanitam Lokai Dipangam Kuram Shriman Manda Kataksh Labda Vibhava Brahmendra Gangadharam Tvam Trailokya Kutumbini Sarsijam Vande Mukundam Priyam. Who is Mukunda? Mukunda is Krishna again, right? And what is he like? Lakshmi. And what Lakshmi likes? Mukunda. So that kind of close relationship you will never find. And among us also, who doesn't like Lakshmi? Right? People kill. Simply kill other person to get a couple of dollars. I was reading one book, person visited America. And in India, they say, why don't you write your experiences? So in the beginning, in the introduction of the book, he says, in America, when you go out, at least keep a couple of dollars in your pocket. Otherwise, if somebody is asking some money and if you don't give, he will shoot you right there. So he said, at least keep. Tell them, I got only $2. It's okay? It's okay. So that way you can save your life. But you say, no, I don't have anything, they will not trust you. So he said, at least keep. So I read the book like that. So that's the mentality we love so much. So it's not only Krishna, it's us also. We love the goddess of fortune. And then Pragnanam Brahma, the intelligence is also Brahman, and that's the real thing we should have it in order to distinguish what is right and what's wrong, what is self and what is not self, what is eternal and what is temporary, all that. And then finally, I am Atma Brahman. Now they also bring our soul in it, super soul in it. And the three kinds of what you call realization they with us we talk about. That first realization is to know your own soul, and then Paramatma, and then Supreme Personality of Godhead. These are the three stages, you know that, right? So this is what it is. When you forget Aham Brahmasmi, Tvam Tat Asi or Tattvamasi, Pragnanam Brahman, I am Atma Brahman. These are the Vedic messages. So when you leave your Vedic knowledge aside and don't pay attention to that and forget, you naturally forget yourself. It's not that only you forget your culture or religion, but you forget who you are. So self-deception word Prabhupada is using here as in translation is coming from by forgetting Vedic instructions. And Abhinivesh. So there are 5 kinds of, just like this is 5, there are 5 kinds of things or aspects. For that, we have to come back over and over and over again. That's what scripture says. These are the 5 kinds. Avidya, Asmita, Rag, Dvesh, and Abhinivesh. As long as you have this, and you will always have it, whether you're living or dying, you carry it with you all the time. These 5 things. That's what scripture says. So I have this scripture called Madhurya Kadambi, in which those things are labeled Avidya, Asmita, Raga, Dvesh, and Abhinivesh. So we are talking about Abhinivesh. So avidya or ignorance, which means to mistake that which is impermanent to be permanent, and that which is full of misery to be blissful, and to mistake that is not the self to be the self. That is avidya. And the whole reason we are existing because of avidya. Veda means to know, and avidya means not to know Veda. That's avidya, Now, asmita. What is asmita? Asmita or false ego, the bodily conception of I and mine. Everybody has that. I did it, I did it, I did it. Everybody wants to get credit out of it. And this is mine, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. Right? Look at this Hiranyakashipu. Only we celebrated yesterday. But he wanted everything. Right? Indra said, can I keep this? No, 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 that's not yours, that's mine. You know, he wants to keep everything. So that is asmita, which is I and mine. Then raga or attachment to the desire for material happiness and those means that will provide it. Any kind of attachment, you know. Sanga sanjayate kama. That attachment is kama. As soon as you see something, you want it. People walk around and then just look through the glass. They have not even entered the store. But they have some sari hanging on Jacksonites. And they see through the glass. And the sari, wherever they go, they live in Long Island. So even after traveling 25 miles, the sari is going to be with them. And as soon as they reach, they ask the husband, look, this is the sari I want. Can I buy? Is he going to say no? So she will go back again 25 miles, buy that sari, and until she is wearing that sari, she is not going to be happy. Anything coming on this way, she is going to be angry. Sanga sanjayate kamat, kamat krodham abhijayate. The husband opens the closet and says, you got 500 saris. Why don't you wear one of these? Why you want a new one? And that's it. That's the end of the marriage life. You know, krodham abhijayate. She gets angry. So here Prabhupada also mentioned the same thing in this, that kind of anger upon frustration. Anger upon frustration. That's what he mentioned. And then dvesha is hatred, the aversion to unhappiness or cause of unhappiness. Right? You are not responsible for anything, but I see you responsible for my unhappiness. Unnecessary. Because there is nothing around I can pinpoint. So I attack you. You know. So dvesh is hatred, the aversion to unhappiness or the cause of unhappiness. And abhinivesh or long-standing obsession from past lifetimes with certain material things, which is known as a vasana, and the means of obtaining them, and obsession with the body and with the fear of death. All these people, Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, right? They were like more than God. God is nothing, right? They by the boons of Lord Brahma, they had so much. But they had one thing. Kansa says, oh, Krishna is coming from that corner. Oh, Krishna may come from that corner. Middle of the night he will wake up and he will see Krishna everywhere trying to kill him. So that fear of death is known as abhinivesh. So these are the 5 things that, you know, I just try to put it together. And again, this on the Tamisra and Tamisra is a strong lusty desires which will cover your intelligence. Your desires are so strong that you want to fulfill your sense gratification by hook or crook. And then Mahamoha, or, you know, they say like the first verse, Ishopanishad, they instructed, Ishvara Ishavasya idam sarvam yatkinchit jagatam jagat tena taktena bunjita magudakasya siddhanam. Anything that belongs to you, you are entitled to enjoy. But something that doesn't belong to you, you should not even touch. That's what it instructs. But what happens that, no, we want this, we want that. I have my money, but I want your money also. I have my land, but I want your land also. See what's happening with this world war and everything going on, right? One country has enough land, enough prosperity. Every little country like India, they depend on these countries, But they say, no, this is not enough. We want more land, more crops, more houses, more luxuries. So there were more and more. That's why Ishavasya idam sarvam. Mahatma Gandhi, he when he started writing his own Atmakatha, they call, all about himself, whatever he realized. And it's not necessary that, everyone realize in their own capacity. So he started writing his own experiences. But he started writing this, that this one thing I came across in scripture, that you burn the whole Vedic literature, all the Vedas and Puranas and anything that you have, just burn it down to ashes, no problem. But if you say this one verse, all the Vedic Sanskriti or the culture will come back. It's such a strong statement he made about such a strong verse. Ishavasya idam sarvam yat kinchit jagatam jagat. Tena chaktena bhunjita magruta kasya siddhanam. God is providing you. In Bhagavatam, there are sometimes I also have about 7 different commentaries of different people, just like Prabhupada did. Vallabhacharya also has it. Sridhar Maharaj also has it. So the Sridhar Maharaj, he was just sitting there, devotee, and he's sawing one lizard give a birth to a little baby lizard. And was so surprising that when the mother is giving birth, the baby is all covered with some sticky glue-like, substance. So one fly came flying and stuck right here at the nose of that baby lizard. And the baby lizard extended the tongue and ate that fly. And Sridhar Maharaj says, that's it. If God can provide this little, creature so expertly, you think I have to work 9 to 5? Do you have to worry about my house and my family or anything in this world? No. He was convinced that God will take care of me. And this is how we renounce. And he wrote the commentary on Bhagavatam. So even Prabhupada sometimes mentions Chaitanya Charitamrita, even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, like if you go to Madhya Leela chapter 8, they're talking about Narsinhdeva, Jiyada Narsinha, that is a temple where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went. And there are 2-3 verses about Lord Narsinhdeva that is presented. And in the commentary, you see all the verses by Sridhar Maharaj. So this is what it is. So that's Mahamoha, and Moha is again illusion. And Tama is forgetting yourself. You never ask, who am I? But once you know that, then that ignorance is gone or vanquished. But unless and until you know who you are, why you are here in this material world, the kind of atato brahma jigyasa, nothing will happen. You can't go ahead with this. So this is what I try to, like present you. And the most interesting part was, sorry, don't worry, which I started in the beginning to tell you that so that we can understand this particular whole chapter, and we don't have to worry about it. This is that sketch. This explains this whole chapter. What I did, that I broke it down like a sequence of events. What exactly happened? Brahma is trying to create something. So the first of all, it was a prakruta, means very preliminary, right? Raw stage. There is even on human civilization, there is a point where they separated stone age from copper age from silver age from golden age. Even in our Puranas, Kruta Yuga, Sati Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga, right? They are all separated because of the qualities of time. So similarly, you see this. These are 8 divisions I came up with in the whole chapter. One is a Prakruta. Prakruti is very primitive. You go to a forest or a jungle, then you have to be fit. If you are not feeling good, you are sick. If you are hurt, can't walk, can't run, they will kill you because they want to eat you right in front of your eyes. It's because they are not cultured people. So to be fit is the only choice you have for your survival. So there is one person, Margaret Mead. She is an anthropologist and very good teacher and writes a lot of books. And teaching in a college, and according to her books, like anthropologists, they go and dig the earth and then they find some skeletons, they find some objects, and they say, okay, we found a pot, clay pot. So that was the beginning of this civilization. Oh, today we found a grinding stone. Maybe that's the beginning of the civilization. So similarly, a lot of things. But the interesting thing, at one point, when student asked, expecting that she may be talking something from the books or answer that we know, she said that the beginning of civilization was healed femur. Femur is a bone which goes from your hips all the way down to your knee. It's a single bone and longest bone in human body. And healed means if it is broken and it's healed, that's healed. But if it's broken, it's broken. So people used to ride the horses and camels, elephants, and while going up or down, if they fall, and that part, that longest bone is broken, you are dead. Because it cannot be healed medically. Only way is to, you hold it like this, that particular bone, for 6 months, it will start healing, not before that. So how can you do that? You need to walk, you need to use that bone, right? So for your drinking water, you have to depend on somebody. For your food, you have to depend on somebody. For a clothing, you have to depend on somebody. And when we found this healed bone, she said this was the beginning. Because one person started carrying other person so that he will be cured. The civilization was still primitive until that happened. Someone had idea. We have 13 people in the family. The grandpa fell down. Everybody spent 2 hours at least with him. If he needs water, give him water. If he needs food, give him food. If he wants blanket, give him blanket. This is how share and care started in our society. So the first Srushti or the universe that Brahma built was a very primitive, and that is Andhra. That's known as Andhra. That was the first one. And then Rudra, he created Rudra. The same thing happened. He created horrible universe and progeny who even attacked Lord Brahma. So Brahma said, no, this is again same thing I faced. And then comes a Gnana Yukta society, which is Sanak, Sanandan, Sanatan, those children that Brahma created. And they were intelligent, celibate, and even Srimad Bhagavatam, they were the first one to have a Bhagavad Katha on in Haridwar for the common people. So that is a Gyan Yukta period. And then Agnya Tatpar, then Brahma, whatever he created like Marichi, Atri, Angira, Pulatsya, Pulaha, Kratu, Bhrugu, Vasistha, Narada, all these personalities, they were Agnya Tatpar. Agnya Palak is one, Agnya Tatpar is another. Sometimes we use the word aspiring. You know, I'm not initiated, but I'm aspired by such and such Maharaj. People use that word, right? So they are all well prepared as to wait for the order of Guru. But that's just Agnya Tatpar. And those, if you study one by one, all those people, they were not actually taking seriously. But again, there were like Daksha Prajapati. He is coming in a category of Agnya Palika. That means he will follow the instruction exactly the way he was given. And Vyamohik. What is Vyamohik? It's something to do with illusion. Something went wrong here. When he had a daughter, he fell in love with daughter and wanted to enjoy. So that is a Vyamoha. So that is one stage of the development. And then Shruti Nishnat, from his 4 mouths, 4 Vedas came out, right? So there was a Shruti Nishnat is one kind of period. And then Vedarth Upasana is another period that Brahma created, because Vedas are there, but within the Vedas there are a lot of rituals. For example, Brahmanical thread giving ceremony, or doing some special sacrifices for certain purposes. So this is the Upasana. So that is another category that he developed. And then final one was what he wanted to fill this particular earth with a lot of people, a lot of population. That purpose was achieved through Manu and Shatrupa. So this is the final stage. So you can see that in this particular piece of paper, I have labeled all those So that you know when you come to that stage or that chapter, you know that this is a changing. The story is changing from here to there, that kind of thing. So, Prakruta, Gnan Yukta, Agna Tatpar, Agna Palak, Vyamoha, Shruti Nishnat, Vedars Upasna, and Uttam Srusti. These are the different stages, the sequence of events you will find in this particular chapter. So thank you very much. I think it's time up. Right? Tulsi Prabhu, I see you after a long time. You guys are going on Saturday? Harinam? Very good. This Prabhu goes also? Yeah. Now he made a very, very quick progress, tremendous progress. Keep it up, keep it up. So thank you guys. And should I say Bhagavad Puran ki jai? What do they say? All glories to Bhagavad Puran. What do you say last? Oh, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Very good. Yeah, yeah. So there are some English version of that. No. Is there an English version of that? No. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam or something like that? No. For me, I told you many times that chanting Sharira Vidyajal works better than anything else, because devotees are hungry and they want to have prasadam. Yesterday was like a fasting day. Some people fasted the whole day, Even after sundown, they continue fasting, Some do like Ekadashi fasting, different ways to do that. All right then, Prabhu. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhu.